I'm Lila of Nevillution, and today I'll be reading quotes as well as giving commentary from Neville Goddard's 1942 book, Freedom for All. In Chapter 1, The Oneness of God, Neville says, "This unknown knowing one, or unconditioned consciousness is my true being, the one and only reality. I am the unconditioned reality, conditioned as that which I believe myself to be. I am the believer, limited by my beliefs, the knower, defined by the known. The world is my conditioned consciousness objectified. That which I feel and believe to be true to myself is now projected in space as my world. The world, my mirrored self, ever bears witness of the state of consciousness in which I live. There is no chance or accident responsible for the things that happen to me or the environment in which I find myself, nor is predestined fate the author of my fortunes or misfortunes. So do not take the magical name of God, I am, in vain, for you will not be held guiltless. You must express all that you claim yourself to be. Name God by consciously defining yourself as your highest ideal." In regards to what Neville says here, right now you can say I am, but stop right there. Not what your name is, where you live, what sex you are, what you do as a career, just simply I am. That is your true being. Everything else that comes after that is conditioned by our thoughts, beliefs, fears, what we intentionally imagine, what we allow ourselves to feel and mix with. And if you want to see the energy of your consciousness, look all around you, look out in the world. And if there's something you don't like, if you don't like what you see, what you're hearing, then listen on to the contents of this video. And be careful whatever you attach to this I am. If it's not something you want to project, nip it in the bud. And for some people, this may sound hard because we may have spent a lifetime identifying with some limitation, but that's all about to change. And for those who are already using these truths, now let your world be revolutionized to your highest ideal. Chapter 3, The Law of Creation. Neville says, "You are the knower, the creator. The first thing you beget is an idea, an urge, a desire, the word. And second is the secret of feeling, by which you are joined to your desires subjectively, so that you, the consciousness desiring, becomes conscious of being or possessing the thing desired. And finally, the confirmation, the visible proof that you know the secrets of creation. Name something that you would like to possess or express, and with your desire clearly defined, close your eyes and feel that you have it or are expressing it. Don't question how it can be done. Simply feel that you have it. Assume the attitude of mind that would be yours if you were already in possession of it, so that you feel that it is done. Feeling is the secret of creation." So in this chapter, Neville is saying how everything starts with a desire, and the secret of fulfilling that desire is feeling that it is already done, not worrying how or if it's possible, just going right to the end. How would it feel if you're already who you want to be? Or how would it feel if you already had what you wanted to have? That feeling, that is the mystical marriage of manifestation. Feeling is the secret. Now in Chapter 4, The Secret of Feeling, Neville breaks the steps down in even more greater detail. First, close your eyes and take your attention away from the objectified limitations. As your senses are removed from your objective world, it vanishes from your consciousness or goes hunting. Second, with your eyes still closed and your attention removed from the world round about you, consciously fix the natural time and space for the realization of your desire. With your objective senses closed to your present environment, you can sense and feel the reality of any point in time or space, for both are psychological and can be created at will. So for example, if there's something you want to happen on a certain day, say a Sunday, in imagination you can already go to Sunday and feel that Sunday is already here and now. And with practice, it will feel natural. And this is how a specific time can be consciously established. And Neville goes on to teach how this can be done with any of the days of the week, months, seasons of the year, and how you already naturally do it. Today feels like Sunday or Monday or Saturday, or this feels like spring or summer or fall or winter. This should convince you that you have definite conscious impressions that you associate with the days, weeks, and seasons of the year. Then because of these associations, you can select any desirable time, and by recalling the conscious impression associated with such time, you can make a subjective reality of that time now. And Neville teaches we can do this with space as well. If the room in which you are seated is not the room in which the thing desired would be naturally placed or realized, feel yourself seated in the room or place where it would be natural. Consciously fix this time-space impression before you start the act of sensing and feeling the nearness, the reality, and the possession of the thing desired. It matters not whether the place desired be 10,000 miles away or only next door. You must fix in consciousness the fact the right where you are seated is the desired place. You do not make a mental journey, you collapse space. Sit quietly where you are and make there-ness, here-ness. Close your eyes and feel that the very place where you are is a place desired. Feel and sense the reality of it until you are consciously impressed with this fact, for your knowledge of this fact is based solely on your subjective sensing. And just like Neville said here, we've all done this. Sometimes we're bored and we're waiting, and our mind is totally somewhere else. But now you do it intentionally, in harmony with the desire you wish to fulfill. So when Neville says imagining creates reality, that sounds simple enough. But now you realize there is some prep work to it, to bring it to life, to feel the reality, to get in tune with time and or space, especially in regards to Caesar's world. Now the third step, in the absence of the problem, and with the natural time-space established, you invite the solution to come and fill this space. In your imagination, see the thing desired. If you cannot visualize it, sense the general outline of it, contemplate it, then mentally draw it close to you. Come closer, that I may feel you. Feel the nearness of it. Feel it to be your immediate presence. Feel the reality and solidarity of it. Feel it and see it naturally placed in the room in which you are seated. Feel the thrill of actual accomplishment and the joy of possession. Now open your eyes. This brings you back to the objective world, the rough or sensibly felt world. Even though your problems appear fixed and real, you have felt the subjective, psychological state to be real to the point of receiving the thrill of that reality. You have experienced the secret of creation, for you have felt the reality of the subjective. And what I recommend you do with these great teachings of Neville, just listen to this first time throughout. Don't worry about any note-taking. Just listen. And when you feel to, listen again and take some notes of these steps. So when you go to have your regular imaginal sessions, you can follow along these steps, really ingrain these teachings until it becomes natural, and you won't even need to refer to any notes. You will own it. You will be the master of your fate. Now Neville gives some exercises, and this would be a great place to highlight for some of you to come back to and build your imaginal muscles, especially those who may feel they can't imagine well. The blessing or making a thing real exercise. Sit in your living room, really it can be any place, and name a piece of furniture, rug, or lamp that you would like to have in this particular room. Look at that area of the room where you would place it if you had it. Close your eyes and let all that now occupies that area of the room vanish. In your imagination, see this area as empty space. There's absolutely nothing there. Now begin to fill this space with the desired piece of furniture. Sense and feel that you have it in this very area. Imagine you are seeing that which you desire to see. Continue in this consciousness until you feel the thrill of possession. You can pause this video if you'd like more time. And now the second mystical imaginative exercise, instead of a thing, a place. The blessing or the making of a place real. You are now seated in your home. Now in this example, it's a little specific, but you can change it to suit whatever your situation and wishes are. You are now seated in your apartment, let's say it's in New York City, or wherever it is, contemplating the joy that would be yours if you were on an ocean liner sailing across the great Atlantic, but in your case, it's wherever you want it to be. But continuing with this example, your eyes are closed, you have consciously released the New York apartment, or wherever it is you wish to release. And in its place, you sense and feel that you are on an ocean liner, or wherever it is that you wish to be instead. In this case, you are seated in a deck chair. There's nothing around you but the vast Atlantic. And in your particular case, what is it that you see? And continuing in this example, fix the reality of this ship and ocean so that in this state you can mentally recall the day when you were seated in your New York apartment dreaming of the day at sea. Recall the mental picture of yourself seated there in New York dreaming of this day. In your imagination, see the memory picture of yourself there back in your New York apartment. If you succeed in looking back on your New York apartment without consciously returning there, then you have successfully prepared the reality of this voyage. Remain in this conscious state, feeling the reality of the ship and the ocean. Feel the joy of this accomplishment. Then open your eyes. You have gone and prepared the place. You have fixed a definite psychological state, and where you are in consciousness, there you shall be in body also. And the third exercise, the blessing or making real of a point in time. You consciously let go of this day, month, or year, as the case may be, and you imagine that it is now the day, month, or year which you desire to experience. You sense and feel the reality of the desired time by impressing upon yourself the fact that it is now accomplished. As you sense the naturalness of this time, you begin to feel the thrill of having fully recognized that which before you started this psychological journey in time you desired to experience at this time. With your knowledge of your power to bless, you can open the doors of any prison, the prison of illness or poverty, or of a humdrum existence. And now you have the 3 different powerful exercises you can use in your own life. You can refine it to suit whatever it is you wish to be, to do, to have. Chapter 5, The Sabbath. Neville says, there is always an interval between the fixed impression or subjective state and the outward expression of that state. The interval is called the Sabbath. Man is warned that if he fails to keep the Sabbath, if he fails to enter into the rest of God, he will also fail to receive the promise. He will fail to realize his desires. The reason for this is simple and obvious. There can be no mental rest until a conscious impression is made. If a man fails to fully impress upon himself the fact that he now has that which heretofore he desired to possess, he will continue to desire it, and therefore he will not be mentally at rest or satisfied. If, on the other hand, he succeeds in making this conscious adjustment so that upon emerging from the period of silence or his subjective 6 days of work, he knows by his feeling that he has the thing desired, then he automatically enters the Sabbath or the period of mental rest. Now, what Neville is teaching here is that when you successfully do these exercises, you will feel the reality so real, you will have imagined so well and pressed your subconscious so greatly that in a most peculiar way, you feel you have it. You don't feel to imagine anymore for it. And that is when you rest. You don't force yourself to keep imagining. You enter what Neville calls a Sabbath. And when you reach that point, you don't have to keep imagining for that particular thing or things. Chapter 6, Healing. Neville gives a formula to heal. In this case, it's for leprosy, but you can use it for any illness. Neville says, the formula for the cure of leprosy as revealed in the 14th chapter of Leviticus is most illuminating when viewed through the eyes of a mystic. This formula can be prescribed as a positive cure of any disease in man's world, be it physical, mental, financial, social, moral, anything. It matters not about the nature of the disease or its duration, for the formulas can be successfully applied to any and all of them. And that formula is, simply, turn your attention away from your problem and place it upon that which you desire to express. You impress upon yourself the fact that you are that which you desire to be until your mind is stilled in the belief that it is so. To go on from Neville's words here, an example would be, take whatever the problem is, and if you didn't have the problem, what is something you'd be doing freely, happily instead? And you enter that vision and you experience from that state of mind, using all your senses, especially the power of touch. Often when people get sick and they're suffering, they get stuck in that state of illness and they get tunnel vision. So remember this secret of healing. You don't have to fight anything. Simply turn your attention to the desired state as though it already was, and feel its reality. Play, imagine, daydream, fantasize. Fall in love with the healed state and all the feelings and experiences that go along with it. Chapter 7. Desire, the Word of God. Neville says, God speaks to you through the medium of your basic desires. Your basic desires are words of promise or prophecies that contain within themselves the plan and power of expression. By basic desire is meant your real objective. Secondary desires deal with the manner of realization. God, your I Am, speaks to you, the conditioned conscious state, through your basic desires. Secondary desires or ways of expressions are the secrets of your I Am, the all-wise Father. Your Father I Am reveals the first and last. I am the beginning and the end. Revelation 1:8-22-13. But never does he reveal the middle or secret of his way. That is, the first is revealed as the Word, your basic desire. The last is its fulfillment, the Word made flesh. The second or middle, the plan of unfoldment, is never revealed to man, but remains forever the Father's secret. So what Neville is saying here is to look upon your desires as those given from the God within, and not to meddle with the middle, but go straight to the end, feeling that it is already wondrously done. Now back to Neville. You may desire something for yourself, or you may desire for another. If your desire concerns another, make sure the desire is acceptable to that other. The reason for this warning is that your consciousness is God, the giver of all gifts. Therefore, that which you feel and believe to be true of another is a gift you have given him or her. The gift that is not accepted returns to the giver. Be very sure, then, that you would love to possess the gift yourself, for if you fix a belief within yourself as true of another, and he does not accept this state as true of himself, this unaccepted gift will embody itself within your world. Always hear and accept as true of others that which you would desire for yourself. In so doing, you are building heaven on earth. And that's a really powerful one I think many of us overlook. Sometimes when upset or we see something we don't like, we may have all kinds of opinions or feelings that might not be nice, but seeming others are able to reject this. And we don't want these things to boomerang back to us. So when in doubt, always do the loving thing. Bring it back to the self, to focus on what it is you do want, and don't waste time focusing on the reflections on the outside. Sometimes all it takes is just a moment. As Neville has said before, sometimes we hear some gossip or bad news and we react. It happens, so don't beat yourself up. But what do you want instead? Always bring it back to that, and feeling the fulfillment of such. And that in itself will automatically take care of everything else. And many might find, as Neville's also said, it's those jolts and shocks in life that sometimes wake us up, to give us that fever to desire something greater and to follow through and do it, to have power that we might not have even realized we had. So sometimes when the dream of life may sometimes feel like a nightmare, we must remember everything has helped bringing us back and realizing our great power. Neville goes on to say, your heaven is defined by the state of consciousness in which you live, which state is made up of all that you accept as true of yourself and true of others. Your immediate environment is defined by your own conception of yourself, plus your convictions regarding others, which have not been accepted by them. Your conception of another, which is not his conception of himself, is a gift returned to you. Suggestions like propaganda are boomerangs unless they are accepted by those to whom they are sent. So your world is a gift you have given to yourself. The wise and disciplined man sees no barrier to the realization of his desire. He sees nothing to destroy. With a fixed attitude of mind, he recognizes that the thing desired is already fully expressed, for he knows that a fixed subjective state has ways and means of expressing itself, of which no man knows. The undisciplined man, on the other hand, constantly sees opposition to the fulfillment of his desire, and because of the frustration, he forms desires of destruction, which he firmly believes must be expressed before his basic desire can be realized. Your world is defined by your conception of yourself, plus your conception of others, which are not their conceptions of themselves. And even I have been guilty of this even up until now. Sometimes you forget, you fall asleep in the dream of life, that we take so much for an absolute reality, but it's these wonderful, great mystical words to hear them again to help awaken these great truths. Chapter 8, Faith. Neville says, how would you feel if you were that which you desire to be? Wear the mood, this feeling that would be yours if you were already that which you desire to be, and in a little while, you will be sealed in the belief that you are. Then without effort, this invisible state will objectify itself. The invisible will be made visible. If you had the faith of a grain of mustard seed, you would this day, through the magical substance of feeling, seal yourself in the consciousness of being that which you desire to be. It reminds me of this Japanese chiropractor I recently went to. Many of them don't do the bone cracking I was so used to hearing about in the US. But one thing he corrected was my posture. Sometimes when you're leaning over a computer, you don't realize you're hunching, and it becomes the way of your body after some time. Or maybe you don't realize that your shoulders also cave in when you're going about your daily life. You may think you're standing upright, but if a photo is taken with a grid, then you realize you weren't. And one exercise he taught was to take your cell phone, an app, and to set an alarm every 30 minutes, and to do a little exercise that takes just a few seconds to correct your posture. And after a way, it will become your way of life and you won't need to. And we can do the same thing to catch ourselves. What are we thinking about in that moment? Is that something we want to feed and manifest in our world? And if not, what is it that you want to manifest? Just for a moment. All it takes is several seconds. How would it feel if you already had it? You already were what you wanted to be. That feeling. Wear it like a fragrance until the next 30 minutes. I found a little app called DIII Notify that for me in Japan was free, and you can see if you can find it or a similar app. And I set half-hour alarms after breakfast to right before I get ready for bed. Now if I am going out and I don't want to be disturbed, I'll disable the alarm for those times and days. But it really helps you do the good work to put it into practice. And Neville goes on, you can send your word, God's word, and heal a friend. Is there something that you would like to hear of a friend? Define this something that you know he would love to be or to possess. Now with your desire properly defined, you have a word of God. To send this word on its way, to speak this word into being, you simply do this. Sit quietly where you are and assume the mental attitude of listening. Recall your friend's voice. You can even do this right now and use my voice and hear all my good news of all my heartfelt wishes fulfilled. And I'll do the same for you, hearing all the good news of my listeners. Recall your friend's voice. With this familiar voice established in your consciousness, imagine that you are actually hearing his or her voice, that he or her is telling you that he or her is or has that which you wanted for him or her to be or to have. Impress upon your consciousness the fact that you actually heard him or her and that he or she told you what you wanted to hear. Feel the thrill of having heard, then drop it completely. This is the mystic secret of sending words into expression, of making the word flesh. You form within yourself the word, the thing you want to hear, then you listen and tell it to yourself. Your consciousness is the Lord speaking through the familiar voice of a friend and impressing on yourself that which you desire to hear. This self-impregnation, the state impressed upon yourself, the word, has ways and means of expressing itself in which no man knows. As you succeed in making the impression, you will be unmoved by appearances, for this self-impression is sealed as a grain of mustard seed and will in due season mature to its full expression. And reflecting on Neville's words, remember that a little mustard seed seems so hollow inside. Who knew it would become a big tree? And just like our desires here, at the moment they just seem like desires, words, images, feelings. And yet look around you at all the tangible manifestation, the vast world and all its creations. And finally, Chapter 9, the Annunciation. The use of a friend's voice to impregnate oneself with a desirable state. You select the person in your world who would be sincerely thrilled in witnessing the fulfillment of your desire. You assume a receptive attitude of mind, a listening attitude, and imagine you are hearing the voice of the one you have chosen to tell you what you desire to know. Imagine that you hear him tell you that you are and have that which you desire to be and to have. You remain in this receptive state until you feel the thrill of having heard the good and wonderful news. Then go about your business in secret, telling no one of this wonderful and immaculate self-impregnation. Confident, in due season, you will express this impression. This change in consciousness is accomplished by the angel or imaginary voice of a friend telling you that you have already achieved your objective. The use of an angel or friend's voice to make a conscious impression is the shortest, safest and surest way to be self-impregnated. With your desire properly defined, you assume an attitude of listening. Imagine you are hearing the voice of a friend, then make him or her tell you. Imagine he or she is telling you how lucky and fortunate you are to have fully realized your desire. In this receptive attitude of mind, you are receiving the message of an angel. You are receiving the impression that you are and that you have that which you desire to be and to have. The emotional thrill of having heard that which you desire to hear is the moment of conception. It is the moment you become self-impregnated, the moment you actually feel you are now that or have that which heretofore you but desired to be or to possess. Apply the principle expressed herein, and all the inhabitants of earth cannot stop you from realizing your desires. In closing, Neville goes on to say, God entered a boat and fell asleep. Humanity is that boat, the ark, where God the Father creates as he slumbers. Even though you do not know the people you read about, if the reading disturbs you, you are the cause of that conflict. All imagination, I am dreaming, causing the misfortune and unhappiness of those whose lives I have touched with feeling. When you awaken and recall your dream, do you always know the people there? Do you know the children that were yours in the dream? The people who frightened you? You may have never seen them before. So how could they be other than that which you caused? You do not recognize them, yet you, the dreamer, caused them to do what they did. The same thing is true here. If the actions of a seeming other cause a motor response in you, even though you do not know him, your awareness is the cause of the storm. But when you awake, memory will return, and there will be a wonderful calm. God, the universally diffused individuality, is asleep in everyone. Now dreaming your life into being, you fight against seeming others, calling them devils and Satan. You endow your shadow world with causation, thereby becoming a divided being, when God is not divided. There is no devil, there is no Satan. There is no being outside of your own wonderful human imagination. He who creates the evil, creates the good, the weal and the woe, the light and the darkness. He who kills is he who makes alive, and he who wounds is he who heals, and there is no other God. If you really believe you are the one spoken of here, that it is you who create the evil, the good, the weal and the woe, that none can deliver out of your hand, then you are set free. You will never again believe in another, but know that your life is self-created, that you create the storms as well as the peace and the calm. No longer will you believe he, she, or they did it, for you will recognize them as reflections mirroring even the storm or the peace and calm within you. Maybe you cannot accept my words now. Perhaps you feel the need to blame another, to have a scapegoat, and believe the cause to be something you ate or drank. But why did you do it? What caused you to do exactly what you did? A disturbance in you. The storm in you caused the gland to be out of kilter. The gland cannot be the cause of your distress, but your dream can. The world, not knowing the single cause, will try to find something on the outside, but there is no secondary cause. Although I answer to an earthly name and sign my checks with it, I know who I am. I can tell you who I am in the hope that you will believe me. But in truth, I am only addressing myself, for I am in you, and you are in me, and we are one. Everyone will have the same experience, and in the end, we will all return to the one body, one Spirit, one Lord, one God and Father. We will all return from the victorious march through death as the same God, but expanded beyond our wildest dreams, because of this excursion of the mind into a world of death which seemed so final. I cannot promise that if you accept this 100%, you will not have a headache tomorrow, or that the boss will not fire you. But if you accept this, you will know that your boss had no choice in the matter. You will know that you caused the firing. Maybe your dreams transcended your present limited position in that business, and only by being fired could they be realized. One day, I was fired from JCPenney Company, working for a year and a half, running their elevator and being their errand boy, making $22 a week and paying $5 room or rent. I could not understand it when they let me go, but my dreams, my desires, transcended my position there, so they had to do what they did in order for my desires to be realized. Believe me, you are the cause of the phenomena of your life, be it good, bad, or indifferent. If, to you, the news is distasteful, you are the dreamer of that distasteful storm. But the day will come when you will awake to discover that the storm is over, that there is only one cause, and that cause is awareness. I know it is easier to give advice and show the other person where he is wrong than it is to acknowledge that he is only reflecting the wrong in you. It is difficult to accept the concept that the world is bearing witness to your thoughts, but it is true. If you do not like something or someone, do not look at it or them. Look within to the one who is causing the image. So what is freedom worth to you? If you stop short of the ultimate, you do not really want freedom. If you were enslaved, what do you have that you would not willingly give in its entirety to be set free? Do you really believe there is only one God who is in you in his entirety, and his name is I Am? You do, although you have forgotten who you are, where you are. One day, the wind will awaken you during a storm, and as you come out of the ark, the storm will abate. Then memory will return, and then you will know that the eternal story was always there. Let the world remain in the storm if they want to, but if you accept my words, you will be set free from the secondary cause, and you who have been causing your storm will find peace and be truly set free. Now let us go into the silence. Good.